Alright, this is the basically showing the shortcut on writing equivalent fractions, decimals, and percents. Some fractions allow you to do it the simpler way. Tomorrow we'll do the every fraction in the world could be done a certain way. So to change a terminating decimal, so terminating just means it has an ending place, to a simplified fraction, put the value over the appropriate power of 10 and simplify. So hint, think of the decimals word form. So casually we might call this first example 0.2, but if we were reading it properly, we read it as 2/10. So write the fraction 2/10 and then simplify that fraction. Divide by 2, divide by 2, you get 1/5. If the directions specifically say show you how you manipulate the fraction, you would have to show the divide by 2 step. This is actually a frequent fraction, so if the directions didn't say to show how you got that conversion, then you could just say 0.2 is 1/5, but here's how it comes about. The next one has 0.16, read properly, that's 16 hundredths, tenths, hundredths place. So then I simplify this by dividing by 4 on the top and the bottom, and I get 4/25. And then the last example here is 15 over tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So it's to the thousandths place. So then I divide by 5, and I get 3 over, some people might want to say 20, but if you check back, 20 times 5 gets us 100. We want 1,000. So 3 over 200. Now going in the other direction, we can only use this next paragraph if we have a certain type of fraction. So if a fraction's denominator is a factor of a power of 10, the fraction can be converted to a decimal by making an equivalent fraction with a power of 10 in the denominator. Then read the new fraction properly to make the decimal. And here, what the word form of the decimal would be. So if I have 3/20ths, 20ths could be turned into hundredths. Let's see, by doing times 5 times 5. I get 15 over 100. So 0.10 hundredths, I'm going to have my 15 in there, 0.15. For the next one, 11 over 500. Some people do want to divide by 5. They think they can only make it tenths or hundredths in the denominator. But in this case, if I divide by 5, I'm going to get an improper, or a complex rather, fraction. And that's not very helpful, because then I'm not going to be exactly sure where to put my decimal. So instead, I can make it thousandths. Oops, let me use a different color just so that different examples stand out. So times 2, I get 22 over 1,000, or 22 thousandths. So 0.10ths, hundredths, thousandths. I want 0.022, so then I have 22 ending in the thousandths place. For the next section of our notes, we're going to be converting to percents. So if a fraction's denominator is a factor of 100, again, it only works with certain fractions. The fraction can be converted to a percent by making an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator, because percent means for every 100, for each 100. Percent, for every or for each, and then cent means 100, like century is 100 years. Cents, there's 100 cents in a dollar. So cent means 100, so for every 100. So then the new numerator is the percent. So if I have 3 over 25, I can multiply the numerator and denominator by 4 and get 12 for every 100. 12 for each 100 means 12%. If I have 13 over 50, I can do times 2 times 2 and get 26 for each 100. And 26 for each 100 would be 26%. And again, that only works if the fraction has in its denominator something like 2, 4, 5, let's see, 10. You have to think about all the factors of 100. 20, 25, 50, and I don't remember if I got them all or not. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head. But if your denominator can be multiplied by something to make 100, you can turn that fraction into a per 100 fraction to make it a percent. To go the other way, to change a percent to a simplified fraction, put the percentage over 100 and simplify. So 28% can be changed into the fraction 28 over 100. I don't think it's quite lined up anymore. Alright, hold on, let me just clean this up a little bit. Not quite positioned right. I'm going to reposition the smartboard, hoping it's going to line up better now. Maybe, maybe not. Alright, so 28% is 28 per 100. So then I can divide by 4 on the top, divide by 4 on the bottom, and I get 7 over 25. Well, the next one, 5%, is 5 over 100. I can divide by 5 on the top, divide by 5 on the bottom, I get 1/20. And then the last one over here for this particular section of examples, 2.5%. This makes a complex fraction, 2.5 over 100. So to get rid of the complex fraction, I can double the numerator, double the denominator, and I get 5 over 200. Now there's one additional thing I've seen in some of the everyday math problems that you could keep an eye out for. Whoa, that's not it. Oh my lordy. And that is that sometimes you can simplify a fraction first to then have it use the shortcuts above, it being the fraction, I guess. So divide by 3, divide by 3, this one is 4/5. And 4/5 is the same as 8/10, so 0.8. Or 4/5 is the same as 80 over 100, make 80%. But when I originally had 12/15ths, when I look at that 15ths, I can't make the 15ths into tenths or hundredths. But if you notice that the fraction can be simplified, you can then look for these opportunities. If I have 6 over 75, I don't know a way to make 75 into tenths or hundredths easily. But if I simplify this fraction first, I get 2 over 25, which then I can convert into 8 over 100, so 0.08 or 8%. So these are just a few scenarios that you can try to use to do your conversions without too much heavy complications.